Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It's the BTS European Series. I'm KotLGuy. Joining me is going to be Blaze Casting of Beyond the Summit, and we got some more European Dota to serve up for you. It's Kaipi versus Elements Pro Gaming, and yet another two-game series. Now, if you're just joining us, the BTS series has changed up a little bit from what it used to be. We used to run a lot of, 16-man, single elimination bracket tournaments, and that's it. This time, though, we got a group stage. You know, a lot of the teams get to, have the opportunity to play each other. They battle it out, playing 3 other teams in each of their groups. There's 4 groups. The winner or the top placing team of each group will move on into their own. It's a single elimination bracket, correct, please?
That's correct.
And then they'll play off from there and for a chance on our huge, delicious $5,000. $5,000, Blaze. In Dota terms, that used to be a lot of money.
That used to be. I remember teams would play like 2 months straight for 15 grand, and that would be like one of the top premier tournaments of the scene.
Today, you can't buy a mouse pad with $5,000 in Dota. If you're an esports player, I mean, they're like, excuse me, this mouse pad needs diamonds in it. This is not going to be enough of a prize pool. But we still have a lot of very scrappy, fun Tier 2, Tier 3 kind of teams who are fighting their lives in these games. I mean, these games so far have been like awesome hour-long cleaving mess games that you would expect to see in the big show. So we have been in for a certain treat. But what is your early impression here? We have Kaipi and Elements Pro Gaming. One team, Elements, probably not many people know a lot about unless you're really invested in the European scene and you kind of get a grip of where they are. And Kaipi, a very familiar name. This team has hosted names like Arteezy and company. Still have Sing Sing there, Bone 7 there, but some new additions including Fluff Blaze.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting to see how both lineups work with their newer rosters here. But for those that don't really know Elements Pro Gaming, and who in the world are these guys, Sing Sing is just going to stomp them. Well, don't underestimate Elements because they have 4 members that are over 7.4K. In fact, Swift Ending himself is 8K. So these guys are fully capable. They might be relatively new in terms of a roster, but they have some firepower when it comes down to just individual talent.
MMR power, for sure.
Absolutely. Pub mentality leaches into the pro scene, and I do feel like there's some ways that you pick the right heroes, you can just catch a Tier 1 team completely off guard. So
we can't lie. That's how some of the biggest players got discovered. They just had these big MMR numbers. Teams are scouting them out, feeling like, hey, how are they going to do? The latest on that list, people are questioning if Attacker was going to find a team. We've seen Weehaw. How many others have been able to just kind of make a name for themselves in the pub scene and are walking away with major titles? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I know Milan personally. I've cast with him a few times, and he used to play on Mind Sanity, and along with Mitch and a couple others. A lot of people know Swift Ending and LeBron from those higher level pubs. If you ever spectate in Dota 2, those guys are going to show up a lot because that's what they do. They grind all day long. So I'm excited to see what they could do now grinding as a team, scrimming and preparing themselves for the big show, which from their perspective might be a tournament like BTS series. Obviously they want to get to the major, and the road starts here. So we'll see what they can bring to the table, but let's talk a little bit about the draft. We've got ourselves Sand King and Disruptor picked up for Kaipi. Just really looking for quick picks, looking for really good team fights, and also I've seen these two heroes a lot of chase potential. Like if you misposition a little bit, let's say the Darkseer actually tries to contest the lane instead of just iron shelling from the back line, you're going to be glimpsed, you're going to be punished, and you're going to be locked in position. So I do think that the abilities like Surge and Leap are not going to be nearly as effective as they normally would be. And when you get the Blink Dagger up on the Sand King, he can really punish mispositioning as well. So I'm not sure if we're going to see as much dominance as we saw in previous series when it comes to the Sand King offlane, but they're going to have momentum behind them with this Drow.
Yeah, but we're seeing some new fresh faces kind of show themselves now. And as you mentioned, with Oracle kind of being taken out of the first phase, you kind of feel a bit more safer getting that trusty Darkseer on your team. But as you were already going into, Disruptor is like one of those best candidates to get as a follow-up and contest him in the laning phase a bit. I don't know if that's enough to justify Darkseer going right for the jungle or anything or not to make sure he gets a good secured start, but we'll have to see. But now, with Kaipi now, competing to this Drow Ranger, they're showing like we're looking to go. We're looking to go fast. We're going to look to hit hard. You know what, though, Blaze? That was just the natural stigma I would normally say when a Drow Ranger's picked up, but we have been seeing, through TI, through a lot of teams, that they'll get that kind of, what I like to call the insurance policy of a follow-up, teams even committing for something like a Medusa to pair with it. Is that something we could see here with Kaipi, or do you think that maybe it's best for their own particular play style that they take the Drow and they kind of run with that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure how confident Bone would be if he was taking like the position of the mid Medusa. Xing and Bone obviously switching their positions quite frequently from 1 and 2 position. But the big thing here is that if they want to, they are capable with the heroes like Sanking and Disruptor. They could build the fight around that. Either you're doing a really good magical damage and control, or you're going to be able to get the Stone Gaze off. Or why not both, one after the other? And in that situation, it's going to put out a lot of damage. It's going to be very difficult to deal with. And I think it would be an okay option. Heck, even against the blinding load of the Keeper of the Light, you might consider like a Mantid style on the Medusa and being able to just stay in the fight and keep that engagement rolling. So I think that in general we could see something along those lines, but at least for now they're not going to show that card. They're going to go ahead, pick up the Nature's Prophet. This is either like a... Well, I mean, I want to try to say this as unambiguously as possible. This Furion actually could go anywhere. He could be farming the safe lane or the mid lane, depending on who prefers it over the Drow. Or he actually could take the off lane, and we could see that rare support Sand King.
Certainly will be benefiting, though, this Nature's Prophet from that Drow Aura or in the early laning phase, wherever they decide to place him. You know, it's Bone 7's court, apparently. I mean, we don't know. We would love to be flies on the wall of what's happening inside the Kaipi, I would suppose, voice server. You got to remember we do have Fluff, who's chiming in with his 160 ping, he said, from the U.S. He's also used to being the captain and director for his teams, but he will have to probably let Bone 7 take over in that front, so I'm curious about that whole interaction and what they decide to do with that. Response, though, another fresh face that we get to enjoy here. Elements go right for a Spirit Breaker now. Is able to kind of close the gap, gets in the face of the Drow Ranger. Yes, Drow does still have the gust to kind of keep him away, but isn't there something about that interaction between the two? I can't remember.
Gust should still prevent the charge.
Does it still prevent the charge? I thought there was a weird interaction that maybe it doesn't. I guess we'll find out for sure.
We'll definitely find out for sure. But I actually would love to see a 5th pick Phantom Assassin. It's a rare hero that I'll advocate for just because she can fall off once you start dealing with her evasion and such. But actually, in this case, I think that you can rely a little bit on the RNG, the PRD, of just going in with the Spirit Breaker and the PA. And you've got things like the Iron Shell and Surge to really allow you to just make that jump, keep the marksmanship off, and to really bring the pain to Kaipi early. A couple of lucky crits, and you'll take a couple of fights that you need to in order to keep your towers alive, because Furion and Drow will push really quickly. So you need a hero that comes online quickly, but they're going to go with the Lifestealer of all things, and they don't even care.
Whatever you get, we're getting OD. Boom.
We're like, he was just spamming spam clicking. Both sides was just like, we're OD. Pick your shit, whatever. You can go Meepo, Huskar, whatever. Whatever's not
AM, they're just like, I don't care, OD. That was crazy.
Good.
Yep. Well, what do you think? Do you think the Lifestealer kind of fits the bill you were asking for?
I like the Infest Bomb potential. If the Spirit Breaker can actually connect with charges, the Infest is amazing. You can also Leap Infest with an Aghanim's. Theoretically, Mirana could then do like 400 burst damage initially with double Star Storm and with the Infest. But no matter what, I think it comes down to playstyle. I think it comes down to execution. Like we were talking about, it might be difficult to close in position on a few of these targets. Even just a simple glimpse. You catch sight of Spirit Breaker whatsoever, and he's going to glimpse you out. And at that point, you kind of feel like your lineup's a little bit mismatched. But we have the potential of Mitch and Milan, two buddies from long time past who played on multiple teams together, to double it up in this off lane, to go with the Iron Shell plus Spirit Breaker. Yeah, before Tusk dual offlane was a thing, Spirit Breaker Darkseer was a thing.
Before Earth Spirit, you know, Darkseer. This was the tried and true. Give that Spirit Breaker that spiky, sweet Iron Shell jacket, and he'll go in there and get the job done. And, you know, Element's looking to kind of throw it back a bit. I wondered, I mean, you're talking about how Elements, they're a team of players, high MMR, huge pub play. You know, what is it that maybe a team like that can bring to a competitive game now that gives them a certain advantage? Like, having so much pub talent, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I think the willingness to make things happen on the map. One thing that you'll learn as you climb the ladder is just that towers don't fall by themselves, fights don't win themselves. You have to be proactive. You have to make things happen, and especially when you're a higher MMR player carrying lower ones, you have to not only instruct your team carefully, but you have to be willing to do things, to make sacrifices where you have to, and just to get in the thick of it. So I do feel like that pub mentality and any kind of strength through climbing up to 8K and beyond will allow them to say, okay, well, we need to kill this hero before he gets too big. We need to push this tower, and just make sure that you're being involved. And I think involved gaming and involved Dota suits this lineup really well.
You can't just style on people. Nah. I mean, you think of a lot of huge pub stars, you're like, this guy's good because he has great mechanics, he finds great farm, and he does some cool plays, and he can style on people. But you get higher and higher because, like I know, when you get higher in the MMR field, real high up there, you got to find the win conditions. You got to find the ways you need to win. You got to find out who you need to bring down a peg and not be a problem for your team. You have to find out who you need to jump. And in most cases, I'm sure they have to learn how to maybe even instruct their team on what they need to do. So I'm anxious to see if that kind of shines through with the playstyle of Elements here, or if a team like Kaipi will be able to kind of, I don't want to say use their celebrity status, but they have big names that we know them to be good players. You know, is it on them? Is it like the pressure on for them to be able to take out a team which maybe most people don't relatively know as well?
Well, I mean, they have their fair share of supporters because of their popularity, but also they have their fair share of criticism. I mean, I saw one comment on Reddit with the more recent Fluff ad that people are saying like, oh, well, now maybe Kaipi can be a Tier 2 team. And I thought that was pretty harsh. I'm like, Kaipi's been a Tier 2 team for a long time. What they're looking to do is break through to the point where they could take consistently games off of Tier 1 teams and even make it to that full qualification of a major. They have the potential with this roster, and I think they just want to prove that to themselves and to everyone about. So Fluff has played, like, I think 6 games with the team. They want to push that for all it's worth, and I think they're 6-0 with him so far.
Yeah, he has LAN experience. He's been around the block. He was part of the great run that Liquid had at TI3. He's been an Archon. He was at ESL New York and stuff, and while he hasn't been able to be under the magic, you know, confetti drop with holding a trophy in the air, he has that kind of experience, and you know, we'll have to see what kind of formula he's going to be able to bring to the team like Kaipi. It's going to be exciting to watch. It's my first chance to actually really watch Kaipi. You said they've played 6 games already, but I'll be honest with you, I missed all of them, so I'm really excited about this one. Yeah,
most definitely, and obviously you got to imagine what he's bringing to the team behind the scenes, just contributing to draft random discussions. I mean, I've had plenty of very insightful discussions with Brian, so it's very exciting to see him getting so involved in such a position. But let's talk about these lanes. Let's look at this action. We're going to be seeing, again, the double Iron Shell play here, but doesn't have to really worry about the glimpse or anything early on, and in fact can punish mispositioning as Milan comes forward, looking for just one lucky bash, a little bit of body block. Can they get that bash? The Orb of Venom just to get that extra bit of harass and no kill potential, but either way, it is going to be Fluff to survive and thank RNG.
Yeah, if the bash was there and Fluff went down, it would have felt real bad giving him the caster curse on that start for sure. But he will be able to survive and back on out. But now they know the threat is there, and a Spear Breaker is kind of on the prowl. And at any moment's notice, you know, he can catch you with that flailing shot like that. And if it ended up being a bash, who knows where things could lead. So Fluff is going to have to be kind of postured in a pretty defensive position right now. And, you know, Elements are going to feel confident kind of being the aggressors.
But we're going to be seeing this dual lane here of Bambo and 33. This is going to be Bambo in the off lane on this Nature's Prophet, which suits him pretty well. But with 33 behind him as a kind of pseudo-support Sand King, you're still going to be seeing that that Caustic really put pressure out. And it's going to be harder and harder for LeBron to really push them back. At this point, he's going to take a very defensive stance. You already see he didn't go for the Mana Leak to zone because he knows that he has to fight. And that's going to be involving the Illuminate.
Yeah, Bambo always seems to be very good on these kind of micro-intensive heroes. His Broodmother and now his Furion. So he's not just a great karaoke player and dancer, man. He can really do a lot of work with the micromanagement. And Furion has been one of his more popular grabs, at least from what I've seen. So makes some use out of it now. Grabs an Arcane Rune, and will probably shift his position back towards this bottom lane to be there by the side of 33. 3-3 or 33?
That will be a question for the ages. I'll go with 33 for now.
Trace. Yeah. I'll go until he corrects me. Milan here, though, is continuing to be. Look how cheeky he is. He's just creeping and trying his best to be a pain in the ass. Tried to go, and there's our answer. Gus will cancel the charge.
That's what I thought. But no bash? Whoa!
Okay, then RNG says it doesn't matter. I find a way. And Fluff does end up going down. Milan will lose his life shortly after, but he was out for a mission, and I guess it's mission accomplished.
Absolutely. Is able to claim that first blood nevertheless, and he'll just charge back to the lane so quickly once he has sight of a target. So it's not like he's even has to waste TPs. He's always going to be where he wants to be on the map, and that's going to be really strong. And also you got the Nature's Prophet to rotate. So you get your first blood, trading 1 for 1, and you get Bambo stuck top lane, which is great. Because, I mean, obviously he's not stuck. This is a very mobile hero, but this is time where he's kind of ganking and counter-ganking that he's not actually going to be on the map.
Or he's getting ganked because he gets bopped in the face there. The Ion Shell damage burns on through. They got the surge.
They got the kill.
Are they going to get Bambo down? They certainly will. Okay, Elements Gaming come to play, certainly in this top lane.
I think in that position you just go for the TP. There's a chance, obviously, at 17% in building that he will get the stun and you won't be able to TP away, but if that happens, you wash your hands of it. At least you did what you could. But we see there that despite him only having 2 auto attacks left in that time frame, that he didn't get the bash and he just got the kill because Bambo hesitated. So very unfortunate in that case. But obviously this is the strength of the Spirit Breaker Darkseer, where they just get to go on their targets. And now suddenly Darkseer is level 4 with a Soul Ring, and they just keep this momentum rolling. Keep the Drought pressured under tower, and Bone 7 is not having the farming game he wants. And in fact, 33 is the one that's getting the most out of the bottom lane.
And it might just keep Milan up here, causing trouble. He begins a minor charge on the Fluff and will bump him back, but they are certainly being a nuisance to Kaipi here. In the meantime, we haven't been able to really touch base with the mid lane matchup. Sing on his OD, 18-5 to the Mirana of KotLGuy, also at 18. OD we typically find to be, you know, a lane dominator. Bottom lane, though, as that happens, they're making a move for what looks like the life stealer. He's going to be able to make it back in the way, and the rotation comes in from Milan as he charges on forward for 3-3. Mentioned as best farmer, could be ending up losing his life here. It looks like he will. Tries to salve away the damage, creeping through the trees. He's good for now. Bambo helps block. He hides into a corner. Will the Street Closet be enough? No, he runs out. They spot him. Charges there, and the Sand King goes down.
Yeah, and they wanted to definitely secure that Sand King kill, but there's a chance they could have even gotten the Nature's Prophet under tower with that charge, and Bambo will just slip away and heal back to full before using his teleportation spell to get back to the lane. But yeah, just good movement across the board here. As far as this lane matchup, it's actually pretty interesting that Sing goes for this build up with the 3-0-2, relying on RNG a bit himself, but also this bottle to sustain his mana and keep that in-steal going. Because if he can get a lot of intelligence steal, piece by piece, he can do a lot. But in the meantime, Mitch actually should be the one to going down this time around.
He's sniping right there at the end. Darkseer, a little far out on his own. They know the Spirit Breaker is not going to be by his side. It looks like Bambo had made the rotation up there when it was available, and they punished him. Sing will obviously let that guy go as he has no levels into the Astral, so witnesses the Spirit Breaker go by. But the point I was going to get into for the mid lane matchup is we typically know OD to be just such a powerhouse mid laner already. You put him up there with the ranks of like a Viper and a Razor, and being able to win the one-on-one, but he's kind of matched up even against the Mirana. Is that a bit of a surprise, or is this Mirana or is KotLGuy that good? I don't know. I figured on paper it would be one where OD would just be miles ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just in general damage output, we've seen obviously G play the OD much better against that kind of matchup earlier, and was able to focus on denies more than last hits against TA, which I think is even harder to lane against than a Mirana. I think it comes down to the skill build. He goes for this bottle pickup, and he goes for the more aggressive Arcane Orb level 3, because if he just gets a couple of procs from the Essence Aura, he's able to use the bottle to just continuously steal intelligence and have an advantage. But if you don't get that luck, and you don't get the runes to sustain your bottle, then you're actually at a disadvantage compared to the alternative skill build, which is more like a 1-1-4.
Yeah. We'll have to see what Sing looks to do to transition away from this laning phase.
I want to mention also, he had the Drought Aura as well, so...
Yeah.
Obviously, CS is fine, looking fine now, 37-18 over 27-3, but theoretically, it could be even better, so... It's just one of those things, but KotLGuy still, I mean, he's going to be the one that gets more active in this game, so no matter what his farm is, it might change his Aghanims timing later down the road, but right now he's at the same power level you'd expect.
Yep. Top lane. Fluff tries to glimpse back the Spirit Breaker, but that will not stop Mitch from getting the job done, but here comes 33 with his first epicenter of the game. Will help Shrek right through that little Darkseer. Milan goes for the TP and will be able to make it out. No way to stop him on that one, and it turns into a 1-for-1 trade, one that does favor Kaipi a bit, taking on that off-lane Darkseer, but does cost some bit of rotations for it.
Yeah. I'm really curious when Swift Endings decides to get involved with perhaps an Infest on the Spirit Breaker. You can do that as early as now, since he has the ultimate, but he's actually gone for an Iron Talon, so probably eats the Mango, picks up the Talon, and you could farm camp so quickly here, because you're just able to kill them off with the Iron Talon, as well as like 2 or 3 right clicks and move on, and you can just take camp after camp. And
do you let the KotL like take the lane then? This KotL,
yeah,
because the Lifestealer is just kind of doing his own thing in the lane, look how farmed he is. I mean, he's got a lot of levels. He's almost level 6 at about 8 minutes in. I'd be happy if I was him.
Sure, definitely. So and that would leave the Spirit Breaker to pick up the Tome of Knowledge and really find the level 6 timing that you're looking for as a support. The 10-minute level 6 is pretty standard for a Spirit Breaker, and the Tome enables that play really well.
Looks like mid lane. You call out for our potential first Infest bomb of the game, and it looks like it could be happening sooner than later. He hops up into the backpack of Milan right now, and the Spirit Breaker, Moonlight Shadow, and away we go. A charge towards the mid lane right now, and they're hoping to get a hold of Sing. He's already on the way back as he sees trouble a-coming. He gets the connection. There's going to be the bomb. Can't get a forgiving RNG bash, though, and it looks like they might have to quickly pull off here. Milan looks to head into the trees, into the corner, and now he's a bit stuck. Looks like he will be able to
nice
chew his way on through, but he's still caught between some unforgiving Kaipi members, and they will be able to bring him back and bring him down. 4-4, we even things up.
Yep. They had an observer ward over by the Ancients, which gave a pretty good idea of what was happening there. They had the not the immediate response, because that would have scared the Spirit Breaker away, but instead bait him further, deeper, and they were able to get the kill they want out of it. Obviously, like I said, it would have helped them a lot if they had gotten the bash, and then they could have opened wounds and at least gotten 1 for 1, or maybe 1 for 2. But in the end, Sing Sing will live, and the Spirit Breaker will fall. Now charging back top lane again.
All right, a couple of Kaipi members here. So we'll see if Elements turn this around once the Spirit Breaker does show up. It looks like they will cancel it all together and take their business elsewhere as we just get into about the 10-minute mark of this one. Top 2 farmers still both belong to Kaipi on this one. As we see both the Drow and OD up at the top. It looks like they'll finally designate some time on Elements to maybe get some Milan farm. Well, I said that, but then here comes KotLGuy taking it right back over.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we do see what you're talking about. LeBron on the Keep It Light, really just farming wave after wave. He's built himself up pretty nicely to the point that he's almost where Bambo is in terms of early farm. The Furion hasn't been really farm focused, the KotL much more so than usual. So between the two of them, we're going to be seeing some better support pickups coming out from Elements. Whereas, of course, Fluff and Stuff is going to be playing that poor man support. He will get his level 6, or at least level 5 now, thanks to his tome. But much more importantly, he needs to get some gold.
He might not be able to hold on to a lot if he gets taken down here. He goes down fast with the help of the Surge and Iron Shell coming out. They'll quickly just bulldoze in the Lifestealer and take down that little Fluff support. And they're still confidently hanging forward here. We'll hop into the Catapult. And
oh no, is this seriously happening? That's so cheesy.
They can't do anything to stop this poor little Catapult too.
Well, they have the peer damage of the Arcane Aura, but you don't want to be using it on a Catapult that you don't steal intelligence from. So it really just you run, but it's like a walking tank with this Iron Shell active, and it can be very annoying.
And KotL's up here now, about to be level 7, so full push ahoy here for Elements right now. And we'll have to see if Kaipi are going to do anything to be able to stop it down. They still have plenty of build-up time here. Bambo had been grinding away his own farm here at the bottom, getting to his own level 6, or level 7 rather. As his phase boots up and ready to go, but I don't know. Kaipi still lacking a little bit in kind of the firepower right now, and you have that Drow lineup, so you're not looking to kind of hand away any sort of momentum. But it looks like they smoke, and they're going to take their business to the bottom. Maybe a hopeful pickup on the Darkseer, followed up with a +1 tower if things go well here for Kaipi.
They're going to get the stun.
They do get the connection here for Mitch. And they silence him up here. Oh my, it will be enough. Thunderstrike helps maintain the vision, and they will be able to take him down. And it looks like they'll move in for the tier 1. All the meanwhile, Elements will just kind of split the difference, go for their own push elsewhere. It looks like a mid-tier 1 is in order for them.
Yeah, I like the Wrath of Nature split push too. It's going to slow down any things on the mid lane or the top lane. They still will take that tier 1 tower down, but they can't really go for more than that. Swift Ending might get like 2 hits on the tower before he has to run back. And that's the nice thing about Ace of Prophet is that no matter what, you can make sure at any point in time that all your lanes are pushed out the way you need to be. So when you need to push, you can take advantage of that Precision Aura and that Drow Ranger in full.
And lots of ways for Kaipi to be able to quickly burst away the farm with the extra bonus damage and grind their farm potential back. We take an early look at the net worth, and it's still for Elements right now, but with Kaipi being able to add some extra pressure on these towers, it's going to force Elements back into a defensive position away from their happy farm grind.
It's ganking time. We got an Infest Bomb and a double damage on the Spirit Breaker, but can they get the glimpse back in time? They had one ward, see it in time, and they'll gust it back with the arrow missing as well.
Bone 7 almost walks into that arrow. Milan gets close enough, does manage to get the Nether Strike off onto Bone 7, and with the help of the burst, they will be able to bring down the Little Drow Ranger. They set course for Fluff, they get him 2. Big Epi flies forward from 3-3 and will help get at least 1 response kill, but it's only for the Spirit Breaker while they're about to lose Sting. He drops down the OD ulti, but it's not going to be nearly enough. Kaipi crumbling apart here, 33, one of the last survivors, is going to be going down there at the end. Bambo will be the only one to live on to tail the tale.
And the absurd thing is that could have been so much worse. The Fluff and Stuff Observer Ward here in the jungle was able to scout out that charge, so able to get the gust, and they even saw the arrow just in time. If those two spells connected, it would have just been like a either a 4-for-0 or a 5-for-0 outright. But they were able to disengage nicely from the charge, and still they lose so much in the process. They really didn't have the tools to deal with this lifestealer yet, and I think a big part of that is that there's no static storm yet. If you get a kinetic static on a lifestealer who hasn't popped rage yet, you're golden. You will win that fight, but the problem is Fluff has just been underleveled. He's 1, 4, and 5, and while his wards are great, his disruptor is just not ready for these kinds of fights.
Elements just kind of recognize where the momentum is and are happy to take the fights now. Looks like a tier 1 is in order for them. Finish it off there. All right, there you go. KotLGuy will go back and get her done. And we'll get back into their own grind. Meanwhile, top lane Milan, we have a charge out here for Bambo. Nearby, we got Darks here there to assist. Nether Strike comes after the Sprout, so he's all free and well. Vacuum pullback Gust comes in from Bone.
I can't believe it.
Helps create the space, and Bambo, thankful as ever, trying to run between the trees. Oh, he tries to chew his way on through, but eventually they will be able to make the catch-up play and get it done. But it looks like it could cost Milan's life here. He gets stunned up from the burrow, and between 3, really doesn't have a whole lot of options here to make it away from trouble. And it looks like it will be 3-3 who does pick up the last hit. 10-7 now. Element's still kind of dictating where the fights are and what they want to do.
Can I just tell the viewers that this is the worst possible time to put an aggressive observer ward? Somehow, by God's grace, it worked out. But he was under Moonlight Shadow, and they wanted to detect him. They're going to drop a sentry ward, and yeah, he's like, yeah, I'll just plop it down here. And it works out. They've got vision in that area despite his death, and it doesn't seem like Kaipi know about it. So, yeah, it's just one of those small things where it's like, yeah, you're feeding an observer ward, but it doesn't actually work out that way. Instead, it's going to be Fluff, who eats another death. This time he does have the ultimate, but it connects on absolutely nothing. And that is quite unfortunate as KotLGuy now gets macked up, gets enough time to leap away. Just 1 second.
Not enough, and Milan's here and says, don't go any further, as he makes his own advancement right for Bone. 7, Bone, not going to be able to make it away. Blast comes forward, not going to be enough to get the finish, but it doesn't matter. Arrow connection on the sexy Bambo, and he is out of there. 33, see you later, buddy. Looks like he'll be going down next as they do get chased. Mitch is going to be right on his tail and take him apart. Sink, forced to try and make it back inside. Forced to drop a hammer, but it lands onto his own foot, and he gets going as well. 4-for-1 trade. Elements on the up and up in game number 1.
Extremely great initiation from Elements. I mean, it was so close for KotLGuy to be just dropped outright, but he had a regen rune too, so he lives with that much HP, and then he's able to re-engage with full. And on top of that, some amazing armlet toggles coming out from Swift Ending, just showing why he's AK. It's just those small mechanical things where he can get right in the thick of things, damage sources coming from like 3 or 4 different targets, and still just live through it all. Impeccable play coming out from Elements now, and having a 15-8 lead at 16 minutes with a tier 2 down in mid.
And it's only going to get easier for him, I'd imagine, moving forward. You're seeing now all the profits coming on in. 2 components towards an Agnum Scepter already for this KotL. I mean, if you can get an Agnum Scepter by 20 minutes, I mean, that's a fantastic, fantastic game for you. Well underway. Mitch back into his own grind with Mech already done about 1,500 gold if he wants to move into a Blink Dagger. That's going to be happening very soon. What do you do now, though, if you're Kaipi? Smoke seems to be their answer, and they're looking to try to take any sort of, kills back if they can. Running right back towards the bottom where they'd already taken a tier 1. Hoping to catch maybe any sort of farming stragglers here from the side of Elements.
This is still a draw lineup, so if they get even just 1 or 2 kills, they can turn that into a tower push very quickly, even if marksmanship is only level 1. But the problem is that if they take 1 step too far, they can get punished so heavily, especially now that the Mirana has the Aghanim Scepter, and those Starstorms are coming out twofold.
They do find the KotL. He will tank the gank. Not the worst thing ever there for Elements, but Kaipi are happy to kind of make an assertive movement into the Elements jungle and at least walk away with something.
Yeah, and that might turn into Roshan, as again, they have a lot of physical damage. The pure damage is actually really good here from Sing Sing. He just spams the Arcane Orb out, and it looks like they will be able to clean this one up, but an arrow hits onto a creep, but even still, the Darkseer is looking for an opening.
Look who's waiting up north here. Milan looks to charge in. He's got an Infest Bomb. Bambo might not have been expecting that one to come in from the north, and he does get hit and taken down. Now they look for Sing. Vacuum back inside the wall. Self-Astral keeps him alive, while the mighty 3-3 jumps in from above. He's up in the rafters, hitting him down with the epicenter. Is it going to be enough firepower? It does not seem like it. But Bone, meanwhile, chucks up enough damage. Is going to be able to bring down the Mirana, but here comes the second round from Milan and company. Him and Mitch tag team onto Bone 7. Bumped him to the high ground. In a safe spot for now. Goes for the TP and won't be able to make it out safely.
Oh!
He's good and gone.
1 HP.
Barely makes it away.
Drops to 1 HP.
LeBron moves in next. Tries to go for Bambo. Gets him with a mana leak. Glimpse back. Whoop. And, well, he makes it out. Back safely. Fluff in the Roche pit. He TP's out too. That could have been a lot worse for Kaipi, but it's Elements who actually get the bad end of it.
Absolutely could have. I'd still, the Nature's Prophet did buy back and jump back in with the teleport, which is one of the strengths of the Nature's Prophet. But yeah, it still ends up being kind of an even exchange, and Kaipi is the one that is behind. They had to invest a buyback, so I guess they lost 500 more gold, which I think offsets the comeback advantage from that trade. But still, I love seeing these Bash brothers go to work here. Milan comboing it up with Mitch. They're just running in. They had that great flank from the north, as you were talking about, and it just enabled them to just go hard. The wall wasn't great, but the fact that they can just get on every target that they want, stay on a Drow Ranger or whoever, and get the job done is quite impeccable. So really good work here from Elements as they prevent the Roshan, get the kills they need to, but yeah, obviously we saw like a cool little uses of the Sprout there to propel Drow to safety in a kind of enclosed space. There's only so many spaces the trees can spawn, and sometimes it'll knock you here in the right direction. So really good play from Bambo, but as a whole, they need a lot more than that to get back into this game.
Certainly the case. And you don't know how much time they really have to kind of get the most out of this game right now. I mean, without having that kind of secondary insurance policy to pair with the Drow, it's all in this Drow and all in this OD to really kind of make it count. And I imagine that means their timing window is pretty much what it's always been when you have those normal Drow lineups. You know, 30, 35 minutes. You really don't want to be trying to push it too far past that. So even though you think that they'd be the ones to kind of continue to kind of move momentum forward here, Elements are going to continue to try to just break them down. They have their own smoke. Again, an Infest set up here onto the back of Milan. Spirit Form popped. They're looking to blast down Bone 7, who's just trying to casually do some creeps here on the side. Mana Leak is actually going to be onto the Wolf. So Bone 7 takes a position onto the high ground here, blasts off a Gust, gets hit with his own Blinding Light, limps pull back. It's a bit awkward here. They're trying to get a hold of Milan. There, but the vacuum pull back into a blast and a wall combo. Very good coming out from Elements here. Forces Kaipi all the way back and away. Milan looking to make chase, gets the grab for Sing. Sing, though, drops down the hammer, is going to be able to get the finish onto the Mighty Cow. Still trying to run, not going to be able to make it away. They have the vision, they have the chase, and it looks like Fluff could be next, just barely making it into the base, but the open wounds is there. A double kill for LeBron on the Coddle, as Kaipi will lose 3 all day, only losing the Spirit Breaker for Elements.
My goodness, Blink Dagger Dota coming out from Mitch, jumps in, makes it happen with a massive wall vacuum combo, and they just had the perfect follow through. Like, obviously I talked at the beginning of the draft that Sand King and Disruptor are great heroes to chase, but I mean, you got Spirit Breaker, got 2 bashes out of that. You've got the Coddle mana leaking every target he can see, and them just running at their opposition, leaping and just jumping for joy at that brilliant initiation. Kaipi purely on the defensive from that point forward, and now just getting run over to an extent. I mean, their death toll is catastrophic, now losing 13-21 in a game where they should have been, at this point, taking at least multiple Tier 2 towers on the Radiant side.
Yeah, just Tier 1s for them down for now. They did get that Tier 2 on the bottom, but I'm in agreement here that with the lineup they kind of put together, I'm sure they were expecting, and most people were expecting them to be further ahead with where they are now. But nonetheless, this is where what it has come down to. If we take a quick peek here, Sexy Bambo up on the cliff, farming some ancient camps. Sometimes you got to do what you can.
Yeah, I mean, when you're this far behind, you got to go where they don't think there's vision, where there's wards, and now you see that they have a mobile ward in the Lifestealer, just cleaning this up.
Like, I can't attack. I attacked.
Get
out of there.
I was hoping it would do it, but it would have been so much more beautiful if he had the right timing. If he was able to last hit the Black Dragon and then just get out of there, that's a Bambo play. Like, that is just straight up full-on Bambo. But, yeah, no such luck. Instead, he's just going to get himself back to safety and be right back out on the map. And, yeah, they need to get a little bit better sentry control and just kind of make sure that they're not the ones being initiated upon. Because right now, the Spirit Breaker has been doing absolute work. He's 6, 7, and 10. Yeah, he's taken a few hits, taken a few deaths. In fact, over half of his team's deaths is on the Spirit Breaker, but he's making something happen with each and every initiation.
All right, here comes Elements once again. Coddle, he's got the Mighty Agnums in hand. It's not daytime yet, but he quickly puts it to work, pulling the forces together. They pop out the smoke, and they get ready for a hopeful setup here.
They know. This is actually really fortunate for Kaipi. They put up a Sentry Ward, which, generally speaking, won't grant clear vision, but when you place it, you get 10 seconds of seeing that area, and they saw an Observer come out from fog. So that is a smoked up team, and that is a really good read from Kaipi to respond. In fact, I'm very surprised Sand King could even go that far with it, but of course he has to blink back to safety in his base.
Meanwhile, though, casually farming Sexy Bambo in the woods, gets spotted out by Milan and company, and I don't think he's going to be surviving He goes down, thinking that most of the aggression was there on the other side of the map, but Elements show them that they can get there at a moment's notice.
Yeah, at this point, Bambo's just shaking his head. Back to the Ancients for me, boys. I'm done with this normal jungling thing. It's too dangerous. But yeah, the map control is spreading for Elements. They had an Observer Ward on the plateau, and that has since expired, but they still have a really good grasp on the map, and they're just going to keep going with this. I mean, Armlet, Echo Saber on the Lifestealer. Yeah. I'm curious now what Swift Ending actually wants to go for next. I mean, you could go for something as deep in your pockets as a Heart. Assault Cross is actually pretty good against all the physical damage. What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking the AC as well. I mean, I don't know if it's necessary against anything of Kaipi unless you're just strictly going for the benefit of yourself and your team. Where's the pub mentality come into play with all this? Are you looking to play a bit more greedy with the way you itemize? Does he favor mobility? Does he need mobility when you have a KotL on your team? Like
I think you'll always need mobility because we see coming out from the Drow and the OD a Force Staff and eventually a Hurricane Pike for both sides. So it's very important to be able to stay on your target, and that's why items like S and Y are so popular. I'm almost curious if like a Heaven's Halberd could do some work here. I mean, I probably overrate the item compared to most people. It's picked up so infrequently where I pick it up, you know, whenever I think of it. But yeah, disarming a ranged hero that isn't willing to go for BKB anytime soon is really massive for these kinds of team fights.
We'll be interested to see. And it looks like he has made the investment here. What's flying out? And it looks like a Deso. All
right. Not technically any of the items we listed off, but that negative armor, he really just wants to get those kills crisply. And as long as they can close the distance, this item's fine.
Had that Blightstone already in his pocket, but yeah, was not expecting him to go straight for the Deso, but he's got it. So here. Meanwhile, Kaipi not too privy about Elements creeping into their territory and trying to go for this Roche. Elements pop out the Moonlight Shadow, and they're looking to turn the corner. Now, those trees happen to scout and take some Ion Shield damage, so something's fishy.
Oh, no, they actually had a dominated creep in there. The creep that was in the pit was Radiant, a Radiant creep dominated by Dire, so they did know about this, but at the same time, the smoke movement, they don't feel like they're ready to take this fight. They also saw the Lifestealer infest, so they're like, don't go anywhere near that cow. Yeah. That thing is under guard.
Let's let Elements know that we know they're there, but let's not go there. Okay, everybody? We know you're there doing it, but we can't do anything about it. Now they do come in and they like to go for the pit where they feel like it's safe. Slowly, Fluff tries to creep that way, but I'd imagine essentially Kaipi may not have the biggest answer, but he's tempted. Go in there, choke point. Choke point Static Storm could be big. Drops it right on top of Roche, a vacuum wall though, and it happens all outside of the action inside the pit. So they're going to quickly take down 3-3. They're going to quickly take down Fluff. And now with advantage in numbers of 5 versus 3, Elements really have no problem finishing this job and then moving on forward.
Absolutely, and they actually, what they ended up doing was TPing the Spirit Breaker top when all this was happening, jumping on Bambo, forcing him to retreat, and then just recalling the Spirit Breaker right back in. So all this stuff on top lane, like, it doesn't... Elements don't care about what Bambo is doing in terms of split push because they have the KotL and they have a way to play around it. So the other big thing that happened is the Rage came out before the kinetic static. They saw the Disruptor, how he was moving. Swift Ending saw this ulti coming a mile away, and he's able to just walk away from a full Disruptor combo, and nobody got hit by it. So very, very critical movement here from Elements, and of course now they have the Aegis in the Lifestealer's pocket. They definitely want to break high ground with this.
Everything is just going so swimmingly for them.
I mean, look at the graphs.
Yeah. Probably the most one-sided game we've had today. Everything has been pretty back and forth up to this point, but yeah, Elements are really firing out on all cylinders here. They're coming into this matchup. They expect that most people are going to be favoring Kaipi. There's a lot of familiar faces, popular names, while Elements are still that kind of a team trying to still, you know, break away from just being known as high MMR pub stars. And what a start for them already. They've been really synergetic with everything. When I see them make that cohesive decision on making movements and smoke plays, they're all in unison and uniform, and it's a wonderful thing to watch in Dota.
Yep. Dota 2. Very, very dynamic game in terms of these potential fights, but I feel like we haven't really seen the power from a lot of these big team fighters. Sanking has been all right in terms of his usage of Epicenter, his movement, but I mean, Sing Sing, like, every time his Sanity's Eclipse is dropped with almost no intelligence stolen because every fight starts off with them on the wrong foot.
Here we go, though. Elements begin knocking on the door. Kaipi base here, scratching away at this tier 3. It is nighttime now, so no extra unobstructed vision we're going to be having here from Elements on the lower ground. Good work. trying to get some good damage here onto the Life Stealer, but it's not going to be enough.
Oh!
Oh, man, blasted down. Fluff is gone. Swift Ending is going to be able to walk away, toggling himself into safety. He's here 3 out.
Such a hard game. Now being able to be one-shot by the Mirana when she goes in with her Ethereal Blade and Aghanim's, it's just absolutely devastating at this point. I mean, he's gotten some good wards out. He's been able to get a couple good glimpses, but in general, Fluff has been in an even worse spot than 6A. Like, he's been unable to accomplish anything. He's lost so many lives, and now they're walking right up to the high ground and looking to combo up on both 7, down to 200 HP.
Not enough, though, but Swift Ending is already kind of gone for what counts. Going for the gold now as Objective Gaming is well underway. 1 Rax down, the second forced to be glyphed up here by KP. And now they think about making their move.
Oh!
So vacuum pullback as Milan charges in. Kinetic Field is going to be dropped, but they already kind of hit with some strong brute force, finishing off Bamboo. A blinding light will separate him back and away as they finish out the other racks. Elements walk away with a big win on this one. 33 says, don't go too far. Tries to jump with a Burrow Strike. Could be his own demise, but they do get an Astral to try to help him out. Courtesy of Sing Sing. And Elements say, you want to scramble, we'll get right back into it. Hop back into the base. Kaipi double back. And it looks like they might have to just let this one go. Or not. Glimpse all the way. They grab a hold of Little Keeper of the Light here, and they will be able to burst him down. Sing Sing does the job. And now, as he able to get the follow-up finish, gets a self-astral here. As that happens, though, Mitch, though, on the warpath to come back, him and Gogi say, you're going to take a couple of our guys. We're going to make sure you pay for it now. Arrow to fly connection, and they will be able to get the follow-up takedown of Bone. Triple kill for Gogi. It's Elements all day.
And through all of that, they didn't even break the Aegis of the Lifestealer, man. Like, just being able to armlet toggle against heroes and players that don't want to commit too much on him because it's only his first life, he's able to just play at that low health threshold throughout the entire thing. 33, some great burrows, but didn't have enough mana in the end of it for even 1 epicenter. So, as a whole, Elements Pro just showing that they're the better ones to take proactive action, to take the early momentum on their side of the map through their very impressive dual lane. In the off lane, their great usage of the Infest plus the charge, and just really instilling chaos in a team that wasn't prepared for it.
I'm very anxious to see what Kaipi are going to be doing to adjust things here. I don't know if they were expecting that kind of performance coming out from Elements. I certainly was not, but they came to play. They kicked it in the high gear, and they really did not slow down at any sort of point. So I'm very impressed with Elements so far, but we still have one more game ahead of us. These are 2-game series, people, and we'll be back in just a moment for game number 2. I'm KotLGuy. That's Blaze for Beyond the Summit. We'll be back with more BTS Series Europe action. See you soon.